again, be mindful of the living force. Trust your instincts. This is a very random quote.
I love it. As soon as he started, I thought,
Perfect.
that kind of pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I like
I got
I
one.
thought of that 4 seconds before we started.
it. That's pretty good.
Perfect.
Hey, welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. As always, we are your hosts, Mike,
Hello there.
myself, Nate. Hello there, and you know him well, Uncle.
Hello there.
Oh,
We
that's a hello there trifecta.
We got an interesting pod for today. You know, everybody's talking about kind of the climate of what's going on in Hollywood, the strikes. But on top of that, the just the Disney cutbacks and on Marvel, Star Wars, all of that. So going to be diving into it all and just discussing that, and then specifically how some of this will affect Star Wars moving forward. What can we expect to come in the future with projects? Would there be cancellations or more content, different type of content,
I'm just
how
glad
it's produced, all of it? We're going to dive into it. Let's do it.
I'm just glad we didn't put all of our eggs into the Willow basket. 'Cause that would, boy, would we have a hurting podcast.
Unfortunately,
right now.
that got
That
pulled.
My 12
Real
minutes of
quick.
view of that counted as a full stream. So
Hey,
Hey, there you
So
go.
it
Well, maybe
either
that's
earned
why the
them-
numbers are all skewed.
why.
it either earned the money or didn't. We'll never know.
It didn't.
We don't know
Yeah.
how
I
streaming
tried.
works.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. That's
I don't
all
know.
you can ask
Where do we want to start? Do we want to
for. Usually
Let's start with the caveats real quick.
yeah.
We
Caviar?
We are
Oh,
interested in
caveats.
this. We know some stuff, but
There's also stuff we don't.
we don't know everything about this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're going on instinct. We're going on feeling, and some stuff we've read and studied.
Oh, we're
about.
trusting our instincts.
Trusting
Yeah,
instinct.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
mindful of the living
Mindful.
force, and none of us are SAG members.
So
we should say.
yeah,
No,
nor will
we're-
we
yeah,
ever
we're
be
not.
now.
After
this. No, I'm just
kidding.
So feel free
Sure,
to
sure.
chime in and correct us in the comments because there'll be lots of fodder for correcting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're interested in this because it houses one of our favorite things.
Yeah, and just what you're saying too is part of the comments, whether you're listening to this live or you're watching this back. If you have insight on some of the stuff, we don't know everything. So if you have some insight off of some of the stuff we're talking about, or know a little bit more information about different topics or what's going on, feel free to comment. Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know some of that as well.
I do want to
Yeah.
welcome Lanjo back. To
Yes.
the,
Yeah.
back to the guests.
Lanjo.
Lanjo.
Back in the
Lanjo.
studio, Lanjo. Where you at?
Are you on screen?
Hello there.
Oh.
Yes.
There we go.
That
I
is
have
a-
returned.
That is awesome.
He's
back.
Finally, we get back
Return
on
of the
track.
Lanjo.
I was gone
Finally.
last week. You guys had a great podcast without me, I must say.
We haven't had a quadcast
we
in quite a
haven't.
while.
A quadcast.
Quadcast.
Now this is quadcast.
This is quadcast.
It's quadcasting.
So it's good to
Oh,
have
that's
everybody here.
good. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, the places to start. Well, when we were talking about, what the podcast episode would be about, the overall kind of Disney Plus was kind of where we started as far as like thinking of, okay, talking about Disney Plus, the state of Disney Plus nowadays, how it relates to Star Wars, but also obviously the big elephant in the room or elephant on the picket lines is
Ooh.
obviously the an elephant on the picket lines would be great, which is Disney. So maybe Dumbo's out there. But this is a tangent. But I went to go see Dumbo with Abigail a few years back, the live action Dumbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it Tim Burton? It was
for a second
was
there. I
actually
thought it was like live Dumbo.
Dumbo live.
Actually,
like,
Dumbo Live.
Dumbo on
That's the way I
ice.
was thinking it was a live, like an
Yeah.
actual.
So it
Who
was
played
Dumbo
on
Who
ice.
played the right ear?
The flying elephant was unbelievable.
Right ear was Bryan Cranston,
Bryan Cranston.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
and who was
Danny
the
DeVito.
left? No, it was
Joe
Danny
Pesci.
DeVito, and then left ear was
Rhea Perlman.
no, it was
Sebastian Maniscalco.
It was Sebastian. It was Sebastian.
What are you
no,
talking
no,
about?
okay, that was a dumb story. But it was actually Dumbo was scary. There was like
It was.
multiple
There was
families
dark.
in
Yeah,
the
it
theater
was-
that I
there
was
was
in
some dark.
who's not like the adults, but the children were crying. Were crying out of like fear, and multiple families had to like cover their kids' eyes, not because anything was like inappropriate, but it
Was he
was
like-
like dark and Tim Burton-y Dumbo, and
It's
like
Tim Burton.
animals like getting harmed
Yeah.
and stuff,
Why
and
are
it was
you
like
here?
live action. It was scary for people. But yeah, obviously the dual strike going on.
First time since. When was it, Uncle?
You're pointing to Uncle, but
What?
First time dual strike.
oh, the dual
since
strike.
Oh, since
60s.
1960.
Yeah.
1960.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so we want to talk about because obviously this
It's
is
big.
affecting. Well,
It's big.
it's affecting obviously what's going on as far as new content that could possibly be coming out. Obviously,
Yeah.
the promotion of content with Ahsoka right around the corner. I have high hopes that hopefully this obviously
High
not
hopes.
high hopes.
We're
It's
allowed to
off
do
to
that,
Ahsoka.
Disney?
No, I don't know. Hopes that obviously that everything can be resolved because I want Ahsoka to do really well. I don't want this to be grouped into obviously for I don't have stake in the game as far as I am not a SAG member. I'm also not a Disney executive. I have
Yeah.
no ties to it other than I'm a fan of the content.
Right.
And from what we've seen from the trailer and what you all talked about last week, this show is looking fantastic. Like I'm so excited for it, and I hope that this isn't just kind of the worst possible timing for the shows. Like that, oh man, something that's out of the show's control and everything sweeps this in with all this and that it just doesn't get the kind of recognition or following or just hope that it doesn't become a casualty of something that's we've been excited for years. But obviously there's a lot of stuff at stake, and we can talk about some of the ins and outs of what maybe they're discussing. Or Nate, where do you want to go with all this? There's a lot of stuff we'll discuss about Disney Plus in general, but on the strike itself, where do we want to take this? Anything you want to start with in
I had a thought, an
particular?
overall thought.
Yeah, let's hear
AI
it.
So-
residuals?
So I was just sitting there and had a little moment of like panic. I don't know.
Is it when I was talking?
Well,
I do that
you know,
a lot when he's talking.
we
I don't
we
know
think
where that
about
was
we think about things as being just being around, just being there. But there is no guarantee that Disney Plus will last. There's just none.
True.
Yeah.
There was a cool headline that Jeff Bezos put out, or not a headline, but a quote. He said, "Amazon is going bankrupt." They're like, "What?" He goes, "Because every company ever, they all
Yeah.
go bankrupt.
Yeah.
If you look at the top companies from 100 years ago, maybe one of them is still around.
Mm.
Maybe Coca-Cola. There's a few, but
Yeah.
most companies,
Yeah, they
as
have their
big
time
as they
and
get,
then it's
they go bankrupt." So I was thinking, we were talking about these movies going that are flopping. Some of
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
Element didn't do well. Lightyear didn't do well. And then I thought, well, that's because people know that it's coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe that's not the case. Maybe they're not watching the movies because they're bad. And maybe they're canceling Disney Plus because they don't care what's coming to Disney Plus.
Oh yeah.
So they've lost, I was looking at the numbers, they lost 4 million subscribers in the first quarter of 2023. 4 million
Wow.
cancellations. That went in line with a price hike, but I thought, why are people canceling? Because not everybody watches it for Star Wars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They watch it for the Disney movies. And if the
Yeah.
Disney movies are flopping, why are people going to sign up for Disney Plus?
And
And
that would
if-
also explain the box office.
Box office,
If the movie's not good, then the box office won't perform and Disney Plus won't perform.
I think that the box office is driving this, is the lead, not the subscription, not the plus.
You need to prove that the movie is a good movie
When
in the,
the movie-
box office for people to want to go watch
exactly.
it again on Disney
When the
Plus.
movies fail, that's their first chance. Then they think, that's a bad movie. I don't need Disney Plus. I don't care about that one.
Mm.
So if they continue
Yeah.
to make movies that fail, I think that's going to fuel more and more people leaving Disney Plus. Now, there are a lot of people going to come for Ahsoka, I believe,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that still is not the same crowd as a huge Pixar Disney movie.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
not.
the
No,
same.
No,
and
definitely
for
I
it
don't
different
know if it's
to be-
enough to
Different
fuel the
audience.
fire.
That's the thing. For it to be
That's
a
what scared me.
big, for it to be a big quote unquote success, like viewership wise, this is what's always difficult about whether it's a Filoni or a Kathleen Kennedy or whoever. Like you are trying to maybe appease the fans is not a great word because that makes it sound like you're just doing stuff specific for this audience, but you want it to be specific that the people who have been invested and have been around it and watch the ins and outs and watch Clone Wars and Rebels, that they are interested in it.
Yeah.
And that it's also broad enough
That everybody else
that
will like
everyone
it.
else can
Mhm.
be into it. If it turns off one of those bases, you immediately lose a huge amount of your audience.
Right.
You have the
Yeah.
diehards that go, this isn't Star Wars or this isn't what I like or this, and then the people who are really passionate about Star Wars are not on board with it, and then they're just not telling their friends about it, not this,
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And then if it's the other way, and it's too inside baseball, or too you have to have seen this, and seen this movie and this movie.
People are gonna
People
not.
tune in and watch an episode or half an episode. Go, I couldn't figure out what was
I don't
going
know what's
on,
happening.
or they see a trailer and they
It's
think
tricky.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's a hard kind of needle to thread there. But yeah, it's the box office stuff is interesting right now because I think that movies are suffering, and specifically a couple of recent Disney movies or even some superhero movies are also suffering from super high production costs.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
know because I'm a big fan. I
That's
really
right.
liked the new Indiana Jones movie. I did see the production. They said it was like $300
It's
million
tough to recoup
make that.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah,
not
like
even
if you
including
have even if it's
$300 million is not even
successful,
including marketing.
it's still not.
That's the
yeah.
actual production, not including the marketing.
Right.
Which is another, whatever percent of that. And
Yeah,
so I
I
know
mean,
that
Bob
they-
Iger even came out and said, yeah, they're overspending on their projects.
Well,
Like,
so,
he
yeah.
didn't just say he was mentioning like, are there going to be cutbacks in a sense of how much is being produced and the
What?
amount that is being spent on what is produced.
Yeah.
So not only will we potentially be seeing less, content, less Star Wars and less Marvel content being pushed out, but the actual amount of money going into the projects that are being put out is going to be less too.
Mhm.
And I think it makes me wonder too, as far as just like, and I'll ask you guys this: do you think that that is a part of what's going on? Is just the saturation of the big franchises? Like, do you
Just
think
oversaturated?
do you
or
think
over-
it's oversaturated with Marvel content? Do you think it's oversaturated with Star Wars content right now?
I know. So you were referencing the Iger quote. He had said something along the lines of, because I do think Star Wars is in a little bit of a similar situation. I'm not saying I agree necessarily or disagree, but he said that because Marvel was not super dominant in the television space,
Yeah.
I think, because even though they had a couple of shows that he doesn't consider like
And where
Marvel
Marvel and
Studios.
Star Wars are at right now are different because
Yeah, they're
Marvel
different.
hasn't had or Star Wars hasn't had a movie in a few years.
Yeah, they're definitely different. And Marvel has been coming out with, as much as Star Wars has been coming out with Disney Plus stuff, Marvel's
Marvel's
coming out
had
with all
way
this stuff
more.
on Disney Plus and is like, and here's 3 movies a year still.
Yeah.
And like they're still, and there's been some diminishing returns. I
Yeah.
know Ant-Man didn't make that much
Ant-Man
money.
didn't
and,
do well.
And but yeah, I think that I will say this with Disney Plus, it's interesting. I don't know if there's a specific reason. I know that as a Marvel fan, and this will tie into Star Wars, but as a Marvel fan, I have been I wouldn't say less interested, but it has become less of a necessity for me to watch every single thing because I think there is so much. Like, I have other
Yeah,
things that are
I
going
agree.
on.
Right.
There was a time before all the Disney Plus stuff that there was a Marvel movie that came out. They also were batting 1,000, where like they had like 20 straight Marvel movies without a single rotten
Yeah.
score on Rotten Tomatoes.
For
where it was
instance,
like boom, boom, boom.
As an
And-
example, too.
And though they each, this is kind of where I was going with this. They each though were directly building to the next thing. And what I think has hurt Marvel a little bit is that I can tell you that I watched multiple different Marvel shows and Marvel films, and I'm still like,
Where
wait,
does this connect?
Where does and I love Shang-Chi. I think it was one of the best Marvel movies
It was
they've had in
great.
recent years.
Oh, yeah,
and
I
I'm
thought it was
like,
great.
So cool.
and I
It
have no
was great.
idea when we're gonna see him again
Right.
because
Maybe
there's
not.
not an immediate.
There's not a direct
even though I know
setup.
he said he signed up for another one and all this, I think recently he said that he heard recently from the studios that he would probably be introduced, or that a sequel for Shang-Chi would be after Avengers Secret Wars, like 5 or 6 more years from now. So like you have all these different things
That's
that are
just
going on. That's
crazy.
like, it's just hard. I feel like it's so scattered. I mean, like
It is, yeah.
the what was the Oscar Isaac?
Well, they're
what was
trying
the
to-
Oscar Isaac Marvel show?
Moon Knight.
Like Moon Knight, I thought was interesting, but then I was like, but also like doesn't connect, which maybe is kind of cool. But then I'm like, does this connect into
Well, they're
something
trying
that's
to
going-
connect so many different pieces now of the story and so many different characters than when it first started. When they were
Mhm.
first starting, it was Iron Man, Thor, boom, they
Yeah.
connect. Each one led into the next movie, to the
Right.
next character.
Yeah.
Then they all met up with the Avengers. Then they took that and just slowly added more, Guardians of the Galaxy, and added these different ones to now get woven in there. Now they start this new phase, and it's, post Endgame, and it's here's your slate of all these characters now, basically with a fresh start, a phase
Mm-hmm.
of trying to now continue the ones that are still around with integrating a bunch more new characters at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And then now they're trying to puzzle it all together. And like you're saying, it doesn't feel like it's very, doesn't feel as linear as the first.
As a fan, it's hard to see
as
the
fir-
roadmap of where it's
exactly.
of
It's
where
hard to see. The first one felt pretty linear with like you see this movie, okay, the end of Iron Man or whatever. You see Thor's hammer at the end as the post credit. You're like, okay, Thor will be the next movie. Now there's a post credit scene. I'm like, this could be 5 years from now when we see this.
That's the hard thing. And then if it's a
Right.
Disney Plus show, it also could feel like, man, this is a thing that I don't know. I don't know when. If like I watched Hawkeye, and I thought I enjoyed that show for the most part, but then also I finished watching the show and was like, I don't even know if Jeremy Renner's in Marvel anymore. Like I don't know if he's going to be in anything. Like
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it was like a big deal, like whether or not Kingpin survives and all this stuff, and Mr. Fisk, and I was like, wait, actually, I don't know if they're even going to continue the story. Like I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because they have all these other
Let me
things.
give you another Marvel view because we're on Disney Plus. Joe, real quick, Marvel, big Marvel guy, medium, or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
full in.
Yeah.
Big Marvel.
Okay.
I like all the Marvel stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
I,
Easy.
I don't.
Okay.
I love that he wanted to rope in Joe. Just wanted to make
Oh,
sure.
Oh,
I
for
didn't
sure.
want to rope in Joe. I thought he might be in that category with me.
Oh yes, huge. Okay.
So I didn't read
Go
the
ahead.
comics. I didn't read the
I love-
comics
I love
when I
Marvel
was a
too,
kid. I didn't read
yeah.
comic books. I'll make a confession to you. I didn't know what Tesseract was until
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
until
I-
Endgame.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's what those were all the same thing. Oh, wait a second. That was in all the movies. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't see them in order. I didn't see all the movies.
Sure.
I saw
Yeah.
the
Sure.
first Iron Man. I didn't see 2, and I saw 3, and then I
Sure.
Yeah,
I didn't see the
you didn't really need to.
second Thor, and I saw Ragnarok, but I didn't
Yeah.
see the.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't connect at all.
Yeah.
So to me, and I think this might be true or not. I think anytime, my opinion is anytime you're putting something ahead of story,
Mhm.
there is a finite
Yeah.
window where that works.
Absolutely.
If you put character creation or world creation or cinematography or even CGI,
Cameos,
tech,
like just into,
anything
yeah.
anything
yeah.
that gets above story might work. Like when King Kong came out in 1939,
Yeah.
story didn't matter. Huge ape looks real.
Yeah.
That by
Transformers.
1949 that didn't
couldn't do
matter.
it.
Transformers. Story didn't
Transformers.
matter.
Jurassic
We
Park.
want to see Jurassic Park. Story didn't
Yeah,
matter.
I love
it's
Uncle's
fine.
synopsis of King Kong is great. I love it. Huge ape looks real. That's
Right.
always
Huge ape looks real. That's
At
great.
the
Yeah.
time.
At
Yeah.
the time, yeah.
That was
That's awesome.
we're 7 years after people jumping out of the camera because
Yeah.
the train
Yes,
was
yeah.
coming at them. But that doesn't. So having this sandbox
Mm-hmm.
of characters that come up is cool. But if the stories don't actually entertain us in a way that the story drives the
Yeah.
emotion,
Yeah.
it just gets old.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Definitely.
So
I do
still
think
think
that's one area where I see, at least personally, I feel a difference
saying they're
between
bad
between
stories.
Marvel and Star Wars.
yeah, right.
Like especially from the films.
I agree.
Like even whether people like them or not,
Probably just because they're fewer.
there's fewer.
True.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's
that's
easier
true.
to keep the
That's
story
true.
going.
We have literally 30 plus films now.
That's
hard
true.
to
But
tell
even
at
like
first,
like
yeah.
Andor, for instance, which
Oh man,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
story, like it was clear they had a vision for this story, and
Yeah.
then they went and told it.
great.
Like they didn't rely on the like Vader versus Kenobi. Not like I love Vader versus Kenobi scene.
Yeah.
But everyone went into it expecting that to be a big moment and that to be a part of the reason why they went to watch it.
Yeah.
As opposed to Andor, I didn't know what to expect, and then you
Mhm.
watch it, and I'm like, this story is fantastic, and also not at all what I expected.
Right.
So
Or
That's why I think Avatar still worked.
I was actually going to get to
You
Avatar.
were great
Yeah.
story, fantastic story, very
Yeah.
emotional acting,
yeah,
and lots of anticipation. It is a sequel. It does feel kind of like a superhero thing,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not. It's another world, alien stuff. But the story is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great.
And
It's
yeah, there was a
great story.
big push towards the special effects and everything.
James Cameron understands it. I
He
gotta
understood
tell a
that,
good story.
yeah.
But he exactly.
I have to.
I
tell
thought
a
the
good
story in the
Mhm.
second one, the newer one, was better than the first one.
Yeah,
Like it
I did too.
definitely
Yeah.
seemed like, even though they're pushing the technology to everybody go see this in 3D, whatever it is, that he still had a vision for the story. And even now, with the announcement of all the different movies, like he has an idea of where it's going to go.
So I wanted to bring up Avatar because it is interesting when we're talking about what are reasons for certain things not doing as well? Is it the current state of film? I mean, because there are a number of things that have changed since post-COVID. I know there's a lot of like stats that just in general there are fewer people who either have the means, because movies have gotten more expensive. Also, going to the movie theater, if you're gonna take like your family and get any food whatsoever, you're looking at like 50, 70, maybe if you have a even more. There's a lot of it's very expensive. So repeat views is a lot harder for even people who love movies. But what's interesting is, so I was thinking of, so there's these challenges and things that definitely the industry changes. It always has. Like there are definitely things that change. And Disney Plus has changed a lot of stuff. And so I was trying to rack my mind around like why are and it's different for each case. Like there's a reason why Solo didn't make as much money. And in my opinion, that's one of the cases of like there are a few external things that stacked up that hurt that movie. Yeah. Where I think that the movie itself was better than the results of the box office because it was so close to it was an Endgame or Infinity War
Infinity War.
And it was so close to Infinity War and so close after Last Jedi
and different time, not
and
December.
Because it was close to, and it was only a few weeks after Infinity War, they didn't market it like hardly at all as far as Disney, because it was the same company that owned it.
You get inside there and you think it's Star Wars.
You found out then that it wasn't Star Wars, wasn't bulletproof, that you can just even if it's a good movie, because I think Solo is a good movie.
I do too.
That you still have to craft how you market, how you do it, timing, and all this stuff. But it's interesting lately seeing some of these big budget films, some of them Disney, some of them, I think The Flash, they're talking about being like one of the biggest financial flops of all time.
Massive.
There are these movies that you would think, man, that has Michael Keaton, that has all these people. That has,
where are we going wrong?
Even the initial,
I really do. I really think a lot of these studios are like, pulling back, going, like, what do we do?
I think it's always been a guess.
I know
at some level.
I feel bad for,
but they really have no idea now.
No, and I feel bad. I feel bad for the results of like The Flash when you had people like, now obviously James Gunn has stake in it because he's the head of DC now.
You mean his quotes?
But he was the one saying that like this is one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen in my life. And then now if you like open Twitter, the whole week has just been people bashing like how bad certain moments of that movie are. Like
I saw it. It wasn't my favorite.
I know. I haven't seen.
There
it.
were good. There were moments I liked.
I actually haven't seen it, and I actually am still interested in seeing it. I'm sure I would enjoy it still. But it's interesting. Like there's these things that you would think could be a big hit, and then you have an outlier, and then you have some movies that, despite all of the external stuff, absolutely crush it, like Avatar. So we were talking about like, well, maybe studios shouldn't spend as much.
Mario, that's what I was about to say.
Avatar's an interesting one. Yeah, crazy. Avatar is interesting because Mario's a new thing, and like we had seen something. Top Gun is a great example. If you do it well and you market it well, and there's these things and like,
and a lot of that was just because it was. They focused on the story, and it was a good movie.
Story first.
It was story first, good movie. And it was enough that everybody was talking about it.
Here's what's
interesting
with
Avatar.
People
to go consecutive week after week after week and bring in new people for a month straight.
That's right.
Of it just
stop
racking up numbers in the box office.
I don't want to get political here, but stop teaching me in a movie. Just entertain me.
Yeah.
Don't teach me stuff.
Avatar is...
Just tell me a good story and let me really enjoy another world.
Avatar is so interesting because James Cameron said leading into Avatar, and I remember thinking like, oh gosh, like I hope this isn't a disaster for James Cameron, even though I know he crushed it. But I was thinking,
we gotta make $500 million to break even.
He said like $500 million, and then he said like in a different interview, I think he even said like, well, between like 500 and like $1 billion, and people were like, well, are you gonna like this is the end of your career? Like if this flops, because there was a number of big budget movies that had just flopped. Black Adam, now there's no comparison, but this is Black Adam had The Rock behind it.
Big flop.
The biggest social media presence, the #1 highest paid actor at the time, and completely flopped. And James Cameron's like, I've been working on this for like 13 years. I put so much money into this, so much tech, and also it's like 1 of 6. Like we're gonna make a bunch of these. And I was like, oh, James, please.
Then
he knew what he had. Mm-hmm. He took his time crafting it. It wasn't just visuals. I mean, if you want to use like the previous Transformer movies that would like, oh, we go heavy in the visuals. People see it for the visuals, and then the story's flat. or it wasn't, some small indie film that has no visuals or no budget but has a really good story. He was like, we're going to craft a great story. We're going to have even more mind-blowing as far as what it looks like, but also we're going to pick the right time. We're going to have it set a couple years in advance as far as the of when we're going to release it. Like, we start promoting it. We start talking about it. Yes, we start building it. And then all of a sudden the reactions were positive, and then people saw it. And a lot of people went and saw it again, even though it's an expensive thing. And then it crushed. I mean, like, Spider-Verse is crushing it again.
But again, the story and
has
how
to be
good.
good.
It's just.
I remember a time
When we mentioned Star Wars
on the Star Wars Guys podcast. Come on. Quit talking gibberish. You're talking crazy.
You're talking gibberish.
I'm not here with these fellas. No. I remember a time when, you guys might remember this. Maybe not. When I was younger, if a Spielberg movie came out, I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
If a Tom Hanks movie came out,
Oh, yeah.
I
seeing
was just
it.
thinking Tom Hanks is
I'm
the
going
other
to go
one.
back a little farther.
Yeah.
If a Mel Gibson movie came out,
Yeah.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the exact movie when it changed. I know the movie when it changed for me. Bridge of Spies.
Oh.
Tom Hanks.
I saw Bridge of
Spielberg. Didn't go see it.
I saw it. I
Something
fell asleep
in it. I was like, I know it's going to be good.
Was it me and you or me and Jake?
What?
I fell asleep in Bridge of Spies. It's
Okay.
the first movie I've ever
I don't
fallen
know
asleep in.
why.
Nothing against it. I saw it late
I
at night.
heard-
It was
I
the first
just-
time I ever fell asleep in the movie.
And it was after that, around that time, I read an article that people don't, like Spielberg or Hanks said, people don't go to see actors anymore. They don't go to see stars
Yeah.
anymore. They go to
See the movie.
they want to see stories. They want to they want to have a story.
Yeah,
It
like
did
maybe
used
if
to
a
be.
cast is like absolutely loaded, but like it's not like
Maybe.
it's not just like this one person's in it. I'm gonna go see.
No,
it.
but you're
Used
exactly.
to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Used
Yeah,
to
I
be.
actually
It's
saw
not that
a
way.
few
I will
articles
say,
this
for me personally, there are
There are people who
few
attract-
people that are like
But you
Christopher
know-
Nolan. I'm gonna go see it
But you know why we go? I'll throw this out
because
there.
I know his stories are good.
Because he wrote it.
Yeah, that's
Why
the
do we
thing.
go to Ryan Johnson?
He wrote it.
Because he wrote
it. He wrote it.
Exactly, but
That's a
because
different
we
thing.
have
Yes.
the history, we look at the history of these guys.
M. Night was that way
these
for me.
Yeah,
creators,
M. Night
and
for
they're-
sure. Yeah.
M. Night too. We look at these directors,
Mm-hmm.
writers that we enjoy, and we have the history, the context of
That's
the story,
right.
the stories they've written,
trust them.
and we trust them because we've seen it. Christopher Nolan, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Tenet,
Prestige. If you have not watched Prestige, go watch
Interstellar.
Prestige. That's your homework.
Not a single miss. All of them are. I'm obsessed with all of them.
Love him.
So like he makes another movie, I'm going to see it. Oppenheimer, I'm going
Oppenheimer.
to see it.
Yeah, no, it's.
I hope it doesn't bomb.
Oh. What's great is
Like a nuclear bomb.
Oh,
An atom
no.
bomb.
No, it's. I think that's a great point. As far as the, there was some articles going around this week after people were talking about Mission Impossible, and even though I think Mission Impossible is kind of in the middle, they said as far as if it's made, how much money it's going to make, how
Yeah.
long it's going to go. I watched Mission
I
Impossible.
still intend on going to see it.
I saw it.
I
It
haven't
was-
seen it
I
yet.
loved it. I thought it was awesome. And there was an article, and there was an article, and I think it was obviously it was like an opinion piece, but it was Tom Cruise, the last movie star, and it was the whole thing about
He
how
still does it.
and how he is also, and it pulled up some actually it was an online article
Top
I was reading,
Gun
but
and-
it pulled some videos of the way he talks about movies. And whether or not I've never been like the biggest Tom Cruise fan or anything like that,
Yeah.
and not even talking about like his personal life or anything like that. But it was refreshing watching him talk about movies and talking about why he
makes the films he does.
and
Yeah,
he
I
was
saw
talking
some
about
of this.
how like, oh yeah, I mean, like when I do films and people talk about if they work with Tom Cruise, they're like, oh they're like he's super kind and friendly to all the cast, and he's also very like intense of like, this is our responsibility to the audience is we have
That's
to
what I was
make
going to say.
a good
He's
movie.
very audience
We have to.
focused
And so
in everything he does.
Yeah.
and it's interesting, like he was a video of him was going around talking about he was on like a red carpet, or he was asked when he was promoting Mission Impossible, he was asked about the whole Barbie Oppenheimer thing that's going back and forth, and they said like what, and people asked like which are you, they're coming out on the same day, what would you go see? And he said well for me it's he said obviously I'm going to see both. I'm going to see both the opening weekend because I love movies. One of my favorite thing to do is, he said, I used to just would love going like a Friday or Saturday, and I just spend all day at the movies. And I would go. I'd make sure my schedule's clear. I'd watch 4 or 5 movies in one day. And he's like, it's my favorite thing. I just love it. He said, and then he like took his time though with the answer and was like for this particular one, he said, obviously I don't think there's any wrong or wrong answer. If you're asking me right on the spot, I think that I think Oppenheimer feels like a Friday. Like I would go on Friday and I'd watch Oppenheimer. It's an intense, like I want that, like the intensity of that movie.
Mhm.
And then on Saturday I get like a palate cleanser with Barbie, and it's gonna be more lighthearted. And like he's like, but like honestly, I'm really tempted to just see him, in the same day. He's like, but I also don't, and he's also like, but I also don't want to be disrespectful to like the film. I don't want to feel like, cool, I watched it, now it's out. He's like, I want to sit with a movie.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
Like this is someone who like
who really
whose
takes
life
it
is
in.
making
Loves
movies, but
the,
he's also like he is a fan of. That was incredible. He just pulled a saber.
Pulled a saber out of.
And so that was part of the article. Was talking
That was
about
fair.
him. It was talking about him as not only a movie star, but like
That's
an
cool.
ambassador for
Yeah.
the cinema. And
Loves the
like,
craft.
So-
loves
going
the-
to-
That's awesome.
when we watched Mission Impossible,
So why doesn't
they
he
had
take
a
over Disney
video.
Plus, man?
Yeah.
a video popped up, and it
It'd
was
just all be Mission Impossible and Top Gun.
in Mission Impossible. Last thing of it, and then we'll mention Star Wars. In Mission Impossible, when I went and saw it, I do this now. Uncle, if I can reach out, do it. It's
my
new
thing.
It's kind of my thing. So in Mission Impossible, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it was 7.
That's 7.
They had this like video that popped up right before the film starts, and it's Tom Cruise and it's the director. And they're like, thank you so much for seeing this in the theater, the way that it was designed.
yeah.
We are like,
Yep.
we're trying to like, we feel personal responsibility. We
Yeah.
know it's hard for people to get to the movies
That's
nowadays, but we are like so appreciative of all of you watching this movie that came out to see it in the theater. This is the way this movie was designed, was to see it in this big screen. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed
That's
it.
awesome.
And even just like that was like,
Yeah.
oh, dang. I like that. Like this
It's
guy
even better
also
than Greg
appreciates.
Yeah.
And now that's
I
I
love
enjoyed the movie.
Marcus.
I play the piano. Sometimes eat popcorn. Glad I'll be
Clown.
right there.
Dad.
Enjoy the movie.
And then it cuts to Dad going, I don't know what he's doing.
He can't help it.
I
He's
don't
kind of
know
old.
what he's doing.
He's
But
kinda
that's
old.
okay. Enjoy the movie.
That's okay.
Now
Enjoy
sit
the-
back, eat your popcorn, and enjoy the film.
I love Greg
I do.
Marcus.
I love Greg
Can we be
Marcus.
sponsored by Greg Marcus?
That would be
Hi,
great.
I'm Greg Marcus.
Let's get Greg Marcus on the
Welcome to
cast.
Marcus on Us.
Get some Greg Marcus merch. That'd be great.
I was
So
staring at this big $1 million loss, by the way.
By you?
Star Wars?
Sorry.
$659 million lost in the second quarter. That can't be the second quarter losses, can it?
man,
Which is weird, which is less than expected.
less than it. That's not good if you're expecting more.
No.
So let me ask you this: so the strikes and the cuts, how does this? And some of this we might have some quotes that we're going off of, but some of it could just be your own speculation. How do you guys think this is going to affect not just Disney and Disney Plus moving forward, but Star Wars and the content that we will be getting, or maybe the content that we might not be getting now?
Well, anything that they announced that was in the works, whether story creation,
Is that risk?
script writing, none of that's happening now. It's all stopping.
Yeah, like it's all paused.
Oh, you mean yeah.
Yeah, it may
Yeah.
come back around.
Yeah.
Some of the things that, like
But, you don't
Acolyte's
know.
already shot, so those are.
Like, how do you do that?
like for instance, the Lando
yeah,
stuff recently resurfaced with them saying, no, this is still something that's could be out there. We've talked with Donald Glover. He's
Yeah.
he's a busy guy. You know, it's kind of on his schedule and trying to figure that out. I could see that potentially being a thing that after all this, Bob Iger's looking back going, maybe this is an area we
mm-hmm.
paused
Mm-hmm.
and maybe long-term pause. I don't know. But
I had a different thought. So let's say you guys you're all SAG members, right? You're working on a script. You think it's going to be great, and a strike happens. Are you actually going to stop writing? No.
you're just not getting paid for it.
Yeah, you just keep writing your script because you're not getting paid anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they're still for either.
Like,
I mean, you would think
Is
that they-
Ryan Johnson actually going to stop writing the next movie? No, he's going to keep writing. So we might just have all this stuff in the hopper that eventually when it's all
Yeah.
done, they go, oh, yeah, I got this. Oh, I got this. Because writers write. don't they?
Writer's
Are,
right.
are you? So you're
they,
mid sentence,
you know-
and you see on CNN strike. Oh crud! Put your pencil down, and then you walk away.
No,
I don't. I think they're gonna. I think they
They're
keep
still
writing.
going to
and
try to write on their own and
They just
get
keep
their
it. That's what I would think.
keep it and
Any SAG members comment tell us that we would like. That we know a big SAG following out there. So, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't tell anybody. But if I got a great idea, those lightning bolts don't come. You got to chase that.
You gotta at least have it.
And there's
Keep
nothing
that,
wrong
keep
with
that
that.
You're writing
going,
a
and
note
then just keep it back in the. Maybe they can't. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. To
I
be
think
honest.
they're technically supposed to not, but I don't know how you can stop your brain from working. Like, especially if you
Just make
think
notes
if you
from-
think you came across like a gold idea, and you know how like we all.
I mean, you
have
could write on
ideas
your
that's like-
own.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No,
You're
that's
not getting
what-
paid
yeah,
for it.
yeah.
It's just-
No, I know.
But they're
That's-
actually supposed to not. They're supposed to not even write anything. Not even officially for them. You're supposed to, if you're working on a
Yeah,
project, you're supposed to
I
stop
know.
on the project. Even if you're not like turning it in and like
No,
having a review
yeah.
and stuff. But also I don't know how you as a creative who also wants to do your best work, even if you're obviously like trying to follow all the guidelines and everything.
And someone who
if
who
you're sitting
enjoys
there-
what they do.
if
Like,
Ryan
if you're a
Johnson
writer who
is sitting
enjoys
there-
writing.
Writers love writing.
If Ryan
We love
Johnson's in the middle already
So
of
he gets
writing
to
season
stop.
2 of Poker Face,
it. Maybe.
and he's sitting there and he's just like watching TV because Ryan's a TV and movie guy, and
Yeah.
he's just sitting there watching, and he
Oh,
thinks,
that's a great Columbo.
That's
I can
it.
Do something off of that.
That's it. And then
Crud.
thinks, nope, forget it. Forget it. Like,
I'm not gonna do it.
No.
Forget
No.
that happened.
Forget that.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know how that.
don't know how
I
that
really
works.
don't know how that works.
They would have to
I
write.
don't
the
know.
idea, They would all
Talking
say
about how
we
it could
don't.
affect, depending on how long the strike goes. Obviously, we could have pushbacks of I think the Ahsoka's coming out when Ahsoka's coming out, but future
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, you mean things
Acolyte,
that aren't completed.
Acolyte,
For sure.
Skeleton Crew, those things that they're actively
Absolutely.
working on right now.
I mean, everything that's currently in
Um,
production is paused. Deadpool's paused. All the stuff that's in the middle
Yeah,
of filming is
everything's-
paused.
But then also, I do think that there's, with companies losing money, I think there will be things scrapped. And it's just part of it. Like that there's
Hard choices.
Yeah,
have
that's
to
yeah,
what,
be
but
made.
there's-
that's
it's
what I'm
like-
saying.
Because when they're not
too.
all
producing, they're not
companies-
making.
yeah,
When they're
all-
not making, they're not selling, and if they're not making it.
Yeah.
And as a result of this, if the company's losing money, and they're already have Bob Iger's talked about like, we're thinking of scaling back maybe in Marvel and Star
Yeah.
Wars. I think that there will be some decisions maybe of like hopefully I hope that there's not like a Bad Batch as a casualty or something like that down the road. That's pure speculation. I don't think necessarily it could be, but like if there are things that are like we have these live action things that we've already announced or that we've already. I mean,
Yeah.
depending on how long the strike goes, it could affect just again the moving the dates of potentially when that first Star Wars film comes out.
Do we know last time this happened in the 60s, do we know how long it lasted?
I don't.
I'd be
Here's what's
interested to-
weird, right? 1960, my two favorite television shows of all time,
Any with it?
debuted in 1960. I shouldn't say that. 1959 was The Twilight Zone. Andy Griffith was October 1960. And those first 3 seasons of The Twilight Zone and the first 4 seasons of Andy Griffith are among the best.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And it happened right in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it lasted, but they came out
Yeah.
pretty good. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how long it lasted.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know how
that-
long.
that-
and well, we're
but that
also in a
young-
different era. I mean, it's different.
We are.
We're the reasons are different for the strike. I mean, everything.
but the young
everything's
boy,
different.
that young Ronnie Howard never turned into anything.
Yeah, did he ever-
He could have done some stuff. I don't know.
He always
Yeah.
had such promise.
He did.
Ron Howard.
Ronnie Howard. It's a shame.
Howard.
I don't know
Howard
if they
Red.
called him Ronnie. I just
He did.
Ronnie.
Ronnie Howard. That's what they called him on
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
it said that Ronnie.
Ronnie Howard.
Yeah.
I knew that was in there.
Do you guys think to bring it back to the like?
When did Joe get
Yeah,
here?
bring us
Oh,
back,
yeah.
Joe.
What's up?
Glad you're
Bring
in.
us back,
Over
Joe.
there. Yeah, just came from that door.
There we go.
So you can't turn off like the creative part, right? Writer's gonna write, right? You know what I mean? Like creative's gonna create. I don't know if you guys have ever had a problem at work or even something like a project, and you're thinking about it, and like obviously with my work, problem solving is like pretty much all it is, and all day at work, you're like, man, you just can't figure it out. Saturday I'm eating lunch. I'm not working.
Yeah.
Right. and also I'm like, and you like get it.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
the light bulb
you can't
moment.
turn that off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
It happens.
And did I just like, well,
Yeah.
throw that? I'll see if I remember it on Monday. No, I was like taking notes, right?
Grab
So,
that.
you know what I mean? Like it's gonna happen. So I think regardless of like,
Right.
oh, they're on a strike, they're not gonna write. No, they're going to. And
Yeah.
you know, maybe like what Uncle was saying, maybe in the middle of the strike, you know, some of his favorite, you know, TV shows came out. Maybe it was, I didn't think of that on Friday at, you know, 3 p.m. because I was like, I'm ready for the weekend.
Mhm.
But Sunday at lunch, I was
Yeah.
just chilling. And
Yeah.
I
And
was
it
like,
hits ya.
oh, you know
Came
what?
out.
I got an idea. And so I think, you know,
Yeah.
maybe it's not like all good, but
Yeah.
one, that part of their brain's not going to be turned off. And two, maybe some little, you know,
Yeah.
sparkles are gonna come out of this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what
That's
happens.
a good
Yeah.
point. The
Yeah.
only person that I know for sure will not be writing is George R.R. Martin. Because
That's true.
he's just
Not because of the
he's
strike.
just never
He's
writing.
No,
just-
he's already been on strike.
It would be
I saw it's
hilarious
been-
though
it's
if,
been
if
like
while
12
on strike
years.
he writes his new book.
I saw.
The
Yeah,
only
it's
that's like
now.
finally everyone stopped and then he goes, well,
I saw
actually,
it's
You
been
can write a
like
novel,
12
it's
years
fine.
since
it's like
he
12
wrote-
or 13 years
I think
since
I
he came
saw
out with
it's
the
been
last.
12 years since he came out with the last.
Oh, yeah, I
installment
saw
of
that the
There's a
show,
writer who
the
hates writing more.
the
It's
Game of
hilarious.
Thrones show started, debuted, ran its entire course, and they launched the prequel series, House of the Dragon, and had their first season. And in between, he hasn't written a single book.
Well,
They
he hasn't
literally-
written. Yeah, for that.
No, hasn't written a single. Yeah, he had the
hasn't
House of the
continued-
Dragon.
He hasn't
He hasn't
continued
written a
the
single
game of, the
Song of Ice and Fire book since before the show even started.
Before it
like
started.
because
man.
I hate to say it, as soon as you start talking about money coming in, as soon as you start getting money from the show, he's like, I've been an author. Not that he's like he's had obviously it's a hit series that he's
yeah,
been
executive. He's
but-
produced and helped produce or whatever.
but there is book money on an adult book series. This isn't Harry Potter we're talking about. This is something that was strung out, over a couple of decades. Was these
Yeah.
books that were coming
and
out.
then there's Game of Thrones.
and
TV
then there's
show
the
money.
TV show that all of a sudden takes the world by storm and makes all this money right away.
Completely
that he has his name,
launches HBO.
and that he
There you
has even
go.
creative, like that he is in the meetings and like talks and like was like
Yeah,
a part
on
of
set.
that creative thing. That he's like, well, I'm making a lot more money.
And now he's
That's
writing
right.
video games with Elden Ring and creating backstory for. He's doing everything.
and then
but
gets
Game of
none of the
Awesome.
heat if the show doesn't turn out the way he wanted it. Like if
Gets
the
none
way
of the
he-
heat from the ending
you
of
have
the
no
show.
idea the way his books
'Cause
would
he's
have
like-
ended because he's like, they didn't like that. I won't go
Whatever.
that direction.
I'll do something
It's a
else.
practice run for him. Like the show comes out and he's like, yeah, that totally wasn't gonna be my ending either.
Yeah.
Like, crumbles up some paper and it's like, should we
Man.
start writing? Siri, note, write new ending.
You, got-
They don't
you guys
like it.
ever heard Gary Goldman, comedian?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Okay, this ties
You
in.
actually had
Give me a minute.
mentioned to me.
Circle around. Talked about his brother. He's like, yeah, we're talking about cutting back on my budget. He's like, I was gonna go get something for dinner, and he was like, my brother said, no, shouldn't do that. $5 here, $5 there. It adds up. He goes, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. $5 doesn't add up. It doesn't. It's not like I'm ever gonna go like buy something. Oh, darn it, I'm $5 short. I can't pay my rent. It doesn't add up like that. It doesn't work that way. You're never $5 short. Never. So I was thinking about Disney, like when they're going to make a change to their budgeting, like if they're going to make cuts. And I think this way. I don't know if you guys do. When I think about cutting stuff, yeah, go ahead. When I think about cutting stuff, I don't think about cutting out the things that are like $5 or $10.
No,
No.
it's
I'm looking at big items.
When I
200,
clear
it's the
space-
200, 300.
You're
when I
looking for
clear
the
million-
big
space on
stuff.
my
million dollar-
iPhone because it's out of storage,
You look for the
I
big
don't
ones.
go, I'll use the app that has zero data on it that I've never
Right.
used, and it'll give me, nothing storage
No.
back. I go,
You start.
These
What
videos
video
gotta
on my,
go.
what video on my
Start with
phone
the big
lasted
ones.
30 minutes?
So when they asked Iger, and he said everything's on the table. So they're like, he's like talking about dumping like ABC.
I know they've
Like,
talked about potentially selling.
That
Disney,
would
I
be
think.
like a simple, straight, easy, boom, just unload that albatross.
I know they talked about getting.
Yeah.
They had
And,
acquired FX, and now FX might be
Yeah.
gone. This might be sold to someone else.
So in
they
the
said they also
scheme
think it
of
doesn't fit
thing-
their
in the
brand.
scheme of things,
Sunny
I've
and all
always.
that.
You know
Yeah.
what's funny is I've always thought
They
that.
never really fit.
I've
their,
always
What?
like.
Sons of Anarchy,
I've always
FX?
seen, even
Yeah.
though Disney owns it, I've always looked
Doesn't-
at that and thought
what is that?
I've
doing?
never pictured that with
It's just a
No.
completely different.
with Disney.
Right.
Like even stuff that I like on there, Sons of Anarchy and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are not Disney shows.
They're not Disney.
They're not even close. Like
Not
this
even close.
doesn't
No.
feel anything
They
like
gotta-
those are much
No.
closer
I
to
just gotta
HBO
do
than
the-
they are to
I
Disney.
Yeah.
just got to do the Steve Jobs quadrant thing. We got 4 quadrants. We sell these 4 things, and everything else, if it doesn't fit, we're
Yeah.
not going to
Somewhere
make
else.
printers.
Yeah.
We're not going to make cameras.
Yeah.
They may have to do something like that. But I was getting to the point that Bad Batch, in that scheme
Yeah,
of things, that's a pretty low.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't see
That's
that
not
as a
saving money.
casualty, but I
Yeah.
think
True.
And I
But
think
you're right,
Hulu's
the
probably
big,
making more money for them, but ESPN's a big one.
I
ABC, I think you just cut
as
that
far
out.
as like actual content goes,
Yeah.
even though Star Wars is massive, just it hasn't had as much content put out as Marvel has,
Right.
and not nearly the amount of continued flops as Marvel had, because Marvel's putting out more content.
That's
With more
right.
content, you're gonna have more flops.
Exactly.
So I could definitely see that being a big part of what they're considering as far as scaling back, whether it's TV shows or even movies, that they're like, maybe we don't release as many as we
What were some
wanted
of the
to.
latest Marvel movies? I'm just trying to remember in order. 'cause I
Guardians 3.
really
which was
liked, I
great.
really liked Guardians.
Guardians 3 was
Guardians 3
great.
made a lot of money.
It did. But
Um,
again, it's the story.
but
We come
Ant-
back to
Ant-Man-
James Gunn and the story of Guardians. That's why everyone loved
we
it.
thought the story was weaker, and it
Ant-Man
definitely
was
did not
weaker.
make as much
Had
money.
a lot of people didn't like it, and it flopped. I thought it was okay. I thought it had its moments, and it had its moments that were good, and its moments that I really strongly questioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't do well. I can't even.
Man,
see,
I wonder if
I
the
can't even remember
Marvels-
what came
is the
out before
Marvels
that.
gonna make a lot of money?
Eternals was like
I have a very Eternals was
Yeah, it
big
was not-
flop.
it was
Eternals.
I have a
yeah.
very bad feeling about.
Thor:
about
Love
the
and Thunder.
Marvels.
No
Didn't
bad
make a
feeling
lot.
about this.
I got
Right.
a bad feeling about the Marvels.
Mhm.
Just based off the Miss Marvel didn't necessarily perform the
Miss
best.
Marvel didn't-
It is a slightly. I watched it. I thought it was good, but it is a slightly probably younger audience within the Marvel, frame.
Yeah.
And then combining that with Captain Marvel, which also at the time underperformed, I think, and people had its criticisms. Just the combination of the two. If it comes out and it's a great story, I'm sure it'll do well. But
The original, super original ideas, going back to Disney Plus and like thinking of what Star Wars, because there's a lot of stuff obviously announced for Star Wars, but obviously I don't follow the announced Marvel series slate as much, but still maybe my favorite of all of the Marvel. I really liked Loki as well. But I was gonna say. WandaVision with its
I
just
thought it was great.
original
Very
thing.
Yeah.
We also talking about not knowing going in. It was just like it's similar to Andor of like, okay, I know a couple of characters in here, but I have no idea where this
Yeah.
is going.
where this is going, yeah.
Well, I
even
didn't know where it
Kano-
was going after the 4th episode.
I still didn't.
I
know.
still don't even know. It's just
And-
I know.
it's so cool.
And I thought
It
it
was
was
great.
yeah.
and it had captured. It was a water cooler show. I
Yeah, it
think
was.
that there hasn't
For
necessarily
sure.
been
Yeah.
that in a
Like-
while, probably for Marvel. And again, for Star Wars, you've had some of these. Even Mando 3, which I still really liked, definitely didn't have the same cultural grab. It felt like as the first man. And now it's also the time when Disney Plus came out. It launched with Mandalorian, which everyone was like, Star Wars on TV, like that in itself. You talk about the King Kong effect of like
Yeah.
when it's never been done before. The fact that we are seeing Mandalorians and seeing this Star Wars on TV, even though the story was really good, still,
Yeah.
we already were bought in because of the thought of just seeing it and like the thought of actually, whoa, we get to watch Star Wars at home on this, and like,
Yeah.
And Marvel's doing a television show, WandaVision. What is
Yeah.
this? It's like old timey, almost looks like I Love Lucy or Bewitched in some.
Yeah,
in-
it was.
And I Dream of Jeannie, like all these types of old shows. But then you fast forward to now, like Mandalorian season 3, which I still really liked. But I think that the casual audience is not necessarily just like, oh, I'm watching, of course, because it's like the two things that are on. At the time, there was no really competition for Disney
Yeah.
Plus within Disney Plus. Like there obviously was Netflix and there was all the other
There was
shows.
The
But if you
Mandalorian.
were watching Disney Plus,
It was
it was pretty good odds that you were watching both WandaVision
You're either
and
watching
Mandalorian.
WandaVision, The Mandalorian, or just
Both.
OG, Lion
Old
King,
Disney movies.
the archived, so to say.
Yeah.
But what's
I
funny
wanna
is
do all
even
those.
about the
the
archive
Jodie
stuff.
Foster 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
I
Yeah,
always-
I think it's
I don't know.
interesting because,
Right,
like,
right.
and as an example too, I do keep up with pretty much all the content with Marvel and Star Wars. Obviously Star Wars, but Marvel too. And for whatever reason, I watched the first episode of Secret Invasions, and I liked it. Thought it was great. I'm excited to watch the rest of it, but I haven't. And it's
Haven't
been
drawn
weeks.
in as much.
It has been weeks.
I have
And it's
an
not that
idea.
it wasn't good. It's just
What'd you say?
it
Sorry.
feels it's an hour-long episode, so it's long.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, I personally do think that the content, saturation does play an effect and also that it's on Disney Plus. I can be like, I'll watch it later.
That's my idea. What do you think about this idea? Do you think there's any room for this, Joe? Chime in. Okay, so
Hold it.
Time frame.
Wait,
Wait.
limit.
Write it down later.
You have
Write
to
it
watch
down.
it by a certain
use it
date.
now.
It's only on there. Each episode's on there, but it's only on there for a week.
better than that.
Ooh.
Remember the days when you had to get 24 recorded?
Yeah.
Yes, I would
Ha-
have to
either
decide.
had to- Well,
Am I
in
watching
my
the NBA
day,
Finals or 24?
in my
No,
day,
didn't.
Watching the NBA
just
Finals.
right?
didn't.
You can't get them both. You got to
No.
pick. I'm watching that, recording that. Well, when I was younger, it was Rudolph usually or Charlie Brown. It's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Monday. It's at 8
It's
o'clock.
Yeah.
the special is on.
If
you
you're
have
not
to
sitting there watching it, you don't get to see it.
catch it. I remember the
Would
Rudolph
there,
days
and
for sure.
here's what was cool about that.
Is there an audience for that
When you
right
went
now?
to school the next day, everybody was talking about that.
Yeah.
When you went to school, it was
Because you
not-
had to watch it.
because everybody, if you watched it,
Now it's don't talk about it. I haven't seen it.
that's right.
I'll watch
Is
it next.
there
I'll watch
room?
it tonight. I'll watch
Is
it.
there room for a show, a highly anticipated show that is on at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, and if you miss it, you can't watch it again. When the next episode comes out the next Thursday, you can watch the first one and the second one, but they're not there all week. When the third week comes out, you could watch all three of them, but they're not there before then. You know what I mean?
You gotta catch up.
So you get the first one, and it's
Yeah.
there. And then when the show is over, it's done. You can't watch it. It's not there. There's nowhere to see it.
It would definitely.
You got to come back
I
the
think
next
it's-
would this
Thursday.
be like
it's
the
interesting.
YouTube-
I think it's supply and demand.
Yeah,
There's exclusivity that comes with value.
that's
And-
right.
And when you're launching a product, a higher end brand might launch something at a very expensive price and put 10 of them out there. And that's
Mhm.
it. They could
Yeah.
easily produce more,
Yeah,
but they don't
Sell
because they
out.
want it to have exclusivity. They want that to draw value. And what that does is that gets people lining up at the door
Mhm.
to get it as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
And it gets people talking about it. So in this sense, it would be like that. You have to line up. You got to be ready to watch it. And those who have watched it are now all talking about it because they know that if you saw it at the exact same time. We all watched it at the same
and
time.
it would be built. It would be built around. And here's what's unique: when it's on television, you can still DVR that. YouTube,
Yeah.
automatic. But when it's on streaming, there's no way for you to capture that.
Yeah, they
you
now
still
well,
can't.
nowadays, yeah, you can.
They could actually create a streaming service that will operates like old time live television. It's free. There's ads, but the show is on at 8 o'clock. If you watch it at 8 o'clock, you get it. If you don't, you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like the Netflix channel,
But it's free.
but it's free.
Do you guys think that would be something like either Disney, like say Disney Plus did it with a new show, whatever the show might be? Do they launch it and have their own proprietary service? They're like, here's how you watch it. Or do you think that's an opportunity for them, said company, Disney, whatever, to partner with like Twitch, YouTube, Kick, whatever, and be like, hit our Twitch channel, hit our Kick channel, 8 p.m. on, Thursday night, and watch, everyone tunes in. You can see 400,000 people watching. It's like show starts and there's a little countdown. Everyone gets all hype in chat, and then you watch the show, and then just like ends, and then the channel goes offline, and you're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of sick.
That would be.
I feel
That's
like.
it. Now, I don't think they'll ever do that.
Yeah.
I don't
will-
think
I
they
will
will
say
either, but I
this.
do think that
But
would draw.
It would be a very easy way to quantify
Yeah, how many people are watching? What do the
know.
numbers look like?
because there's no DVR, there's no comeback. You watch it, you see the thing, and that's it.
I will say
And better
this
yet,
about,
after it, sell it. on Blu-ray.
and now you can actually sell it. You could.
Now you can actually sell it,
You could buy it.
or you can
You
buy
can buy the
you
episode,
can pay,
or you
can pay more to watch it to buy it, and then you watch it that week.
just like
to get-
iTunes
to get
used
caught
to
up.
be. You watch it on
This
TV, and then you could buy the
conversation
Office.
reminds me of a funny tweet I saw a while
Never
back.
gonna
It was
happen.
Like,
It's not gonna happen. But
I saw a funny tweet a while back of like somebody who was like, now I'm subscribed to Peacock and Hulu and
Netflix
and Max and Netflix and like all these different things.
Yeah.
He's like, if only there was something that like bunched all of these things together, and you like one
TV.
thing. And he's like, we'll call it cable. And I was like, it's like just because now we're like, oh, this. If only I could pay for like the bundle, like the whole thing.
it really is.
But one thing
What
about
has
Disney
Netflix
Plus,
done to us? They started it all.
It does that though because it's always there. There's no urgency.
yeah,
Yeah.
the thing about Disney
And then
Plus
I never watch it.
in general that I think talking about some potential missteps, I do think I've always wondered why Disney Plus, the release time I think has been terrible.
The release
Yeah.
time is
It's a
terrible.
horrible
That's one
idea.
thing
Sure.
with Max, I think,
there's
and
not-
HBO that they do well. Because even with like the House of the Dragon stuff
They
and the
did the
shows they're
time.
launching, it still launches at 8 o'clock.
It
Yeah.
launched at the
8
time
p.m.
you
It
would watch
launches.
on
Everybody's
TV.
watching
It's-
it, and everybody on social media is talking about it
The
that
day it
night
comes
It's
out.
a TV show.
because
That's right.
they're all talking about it that night. It's trending immediately because everyone stayed
It
up
has
and
the
watched it that night.
same
when it releases.
idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
And so
it
did
becomes-
Rings of Power. Did the same thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant.
When something comes out and even on the West Coast it's midnight, East Coast time they're at 3 a.m. or Central
Terrible.
time
Yeah.
is
Terrible.
2
idea.
a.m. It's like there's it immediately divides people of, am I going to stay up and watch this and then I'm going to be tired watching it? Well, then I'll just wait.
But now you're
Now,
like, I don't want to
won't
hear
watch
about
it right when it came out.
Now the next
and then
day
I
you
won't be-
wake up, go to work,
You
go
can't
to
read
school,
news.
you don't
don't wanna
watch
hear
it, something
about it.
comes up, you missed it, you didn't want. That's
Mhm.
what happened to me with Secret Invasion.
And I don't know. There must be some reason for it that I am unaware of. But I've heard other people, like other
Yeah, I agree.
podcasts and
It's-
stuff, even complain too. They're just like, to them, that doesn't make any.
like,
I
what's the
can't think of
financial
what the
decision
possible-
behind doing that?
Other than the only thing I've heard is that someone said, it might have been on SmartList.
They can
I think
slow
Will
down
Arnett
the
said
stream.
that it allows them to. They dump stuff and all the time over the first like hour or something. They catch a bunch of mistakes, and that it gives them time in the middle of the night to clean stuff up before large viewership.
How would you like to have that
It-
job?
it-
But these other
It also
companies
does
are doing
limit
it.
the stream. You
Limit
don't
the
need
stream.
as high a bandwidth because
Because not as
Yeah.
many people are watching at the
it
same time.
slowly
That's
rolls.
true, but I
crash
feel
it.
like at a certain like
But that's
I do
that's
feel like
terrible.
it's a matter of weighing the costs.
that
like,
can't be the problem.
If
There's no
that if
way.
that's part of it,
There's no
like
way
these
that's
other
the
companies are
problem.
doing it, Max is doing
Yeah,
it,
that can't be the
like,
problem.
and
Yeah, if
Amazon
Disney can't do
Amazon
something
did
that
it.
they're-
Like it's
They're running it through Amazon. Everybody's running their videos through Amazon, so that
Yeah.
can't be the problem,
What's the?
yeah.
aren't they? Aren't they
I
all
just don't-
using? Aren't they all using Amazon video servers, Joe? Pretty much.
A lot of them do.
I think so.
And besides, it's like you're Disney. You're gonna tell me you
That's
Yeah.
can't
insane.
pay for
Disney,
the
Exactly.
Disney
like
doesn't have the
higher
capability
Can't be
to.
that.
CPU, GPU instance of whatever
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
running,
They're gonna
or
take this.
like,
It's a
or
choice.
if they're
We're
if
gonna
their
go all
excuse
in
is
on
like
this streaming
QC,
service. Yeah,
Right.
we're
That's a
going
job.
all. We're going
We
all
can
in
only
on the.
stream 100 views at once, so
This
That's
is
for
our
now.
bread
Yeah,
and butter
but
of how
it
we're
really
trying to make
does,
money.
though,
But we're
'cause
gonna
it's-
cut corners here on how to.
It really
make
does
the
though,
best
because it
product.
splits the audience when you
I think
wake
that
up
was
the
a
next
great-
day and half the people haven't seen it and won't watch it till the following night. They're not like getting up and watching it immediately because they go to school, they go to work.
who makes that decision at Disney Plus? Who makes that decision? Kathy?
Well,
According to
Kathleen
Twitter,
Kennedy.
according to Twitter, even though Marvel does the exact same thing, it must be Kathy.
It must be
Right.
Kathy.
Marvel does the same thing. It's not. It's I don't know whoever's the head of Disney. I mean, Bob Iger is the orchestrator of Disney. Like that was kind of his baby, but he's not there going.
No.
He's not there making the day-to-day decisions on Disney Plus unless
By the
it's
way-
like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know how much money the Disney parks and products, Disney park experience and products made in the
This
first
year?
quarter of 2023? Profit,
Profit.
$2.2 billion.
Oh, that's nothing.
They profit 2.2 billion.
Mhm.
Is Parks? Did I
Parks-
hear?
What'd
Did
you
I
say?
hear?
Because it's physical. You show up, you pay your ticket, you go see the
Did
thing.
I
you
hear
go
that
home.
Parks
Yeah.
were losing money before or no?
I
Was
don't
there
think so.
like last year? They
People were
not
mad because they
losing-
were
Well-
making too much money.
Well, I know they
'cause
did.
really?
I know.
prices were
Well, I know
really
they did
high.
for COVID stuff, obviously.
They did
but,
during
yeah,
COVID.
yeah,
but
yeah,
and
that's-
that became
everyone did.
the there was questions of like, will parks recover?
Yeah,
with
yeah. That was
with
hurting.
COVID, and will people go back out again? I mean, obviously they're performing.
Yeah, they're
They're
doing fine.
performing now. But I
Eiger
know
cut
there
the
was also
prices
increases
back.
in price
Mhm.
not too long ago with all the park merchandise and everything too,
Yeah.
and food, which some of that comes with inflation and what's
Let
going
me
on.
ask you something.
But-
Okay. Never mind. It's a tangent. So let's say
do it.
let's
do
say-
it, do
let's-
it.
because we're going to Orlando in October. Let's say they raise the price 20%, but it reduces the traffic by 40%. Are you good with that?
That's that.
see,
I've
that's
heard
the
this
thing.
conversation.
I'm good with that.
That's the
Charge me
that's the-
20%
Because here's what
more
ends up
and
happening.
give me a
You end up
40% fewer
you end
people.
up paying more anyway because you end
Yeah.
up getting the fast pass and the
Well, and you get less value for your time.
yeah
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
you pay your ticket and then your hour is worth this much money, and I got 6 in my family. I would rather pay a little bit more and get way more value, which I think. But they're
Yeah.
talking about lowering the price.
Well, they tried
Anyway,
to raise the price with Galactic Star Cruiser.
Oh,
and
gosh, that
It
bombed.
didn't work out.
that bombed.
You saw they already shut that whole thing down.
I know.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. I wonder
I
where
will
it'll
say,
travel to now.
unfortunately-
Just out in space.
Unfortunately
I don't
for
know.
the Galactic Star Cruiser and all those poor people that are still on it, they just sent it off to space.
They're still out
No,
there.
I will say, we've talked about this multiple times.
Just sent it
That was the
with
worst promotional video I've ever seen.
I think that's honestly when the demise
happened?
Do you
started.
remember we all
Oh
we did
my
a podcast and went,
goodness.
did we all watch this? Okay, what did we all think?
That looked terrible.
It looked like something that wasn't Star Wars related
It
whatsoever.
also looked
was
like it also looked like
it
a
was like,
promo
imagine if they
video
took
from
the
like
worst-
the 80s.
it was like, imagine if they took the worst
It looked
parts.
like it was from 40 years ago.
Imagine if they took the worst parts of the holiday special.
It
and
also
leaned
looked
into
more Star
those.
Trek than
Not
it
even
did
like
Star
not even the
Wars.
worst, not even the worst that are like, oh, a bunch of Wookiee talk. Like that's way better. This was like, give me the
Oh, man.
weirdest performances and stuff that looks like not like someone has seen Star Wars, but they thought like space.
balls.
They heard
Balls.
they heard yeah, it was Spaceballs meets
I feel so bad though.
I know I watched it and thought,
Is it
what?
weird
And then
to
like for a
me?
for a
It was-
low
'cause
price
we
of
were so excited for it, and then you said that
for a
to
low
us and
price
said,
of $5,000.
Have you guys
a
seen
night.
this? And
We're
we go,
like, what?
yikes.
I feel I'm a weird. I
That
don't know
was
if
the
I'm
worst
weird about
promotional
this.
video I've ever
I
seen.
feel bad when somebody invests a lot of money,
Yeah,
a lot of creativity, and a lot of time in something, and it's not good.
yeah.
I feel bad for those
Yeah.
people. Like
Yeah.
They didn't
I
mean to
feel
make. They're not
bad.
intending on making.
don't like
something
that.
people
And
make-
from
I
the
want
people I've
everybody to
seen-
succeed. I want everybody to do good. So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I feel
but
bad
we-
saying that was the worst thing I've ever
but
seen.
but it was.
but
it was like a,
But it really
and everybody
was.
said
It
it's
really
way
was.
better than the.
But it's you
promo.
gotta
Yeah.
have criticism, or
People
else
that
they're
went
not
said it
gonna
was
know
great.
what to improve on. And yeah, I was gonna say the people I know
It's
that
like
went.
we're just helping them for the next Star Cruiser.
It is.
I'm laughing because I showed it to my kids and didn't tell them my impressions. I just said,
Yeah. What'd you
"Hey,
think?
have you guys seen the new promo? Let's watch the promo." I watched it. You got to see it. That's all I said. I put it on there and just let them decide. They were like, they were trying to be nice to me. They're like, "Oh yeah." They said, "What do you think?" Yeah, that's kind of cool. I said, "I think it's horrible." They go, "Yeah, it's bad.
They're like, "Thank
it's
goodness."
bad. We thought you liked it."
Because they
They're being so nice.
The idea though of like the bar scene, because it was like a bar dance club. Then they spend like it's what seemed like an eternity of this promo just listening to a performance.
Wasn't there like a $500 drink too that came out of
There's a
that?
$500 drink, but then there's like 2 people at this bar. It doesn't look very popular,
Mhm.
and it's like 2 aliens that are not Star Wars creatures we've ever seen before.
No.
So it's not even like, oh, we're gonna throw in like
Twi'lek.
we're throwing a Trandoshan who looks like Bosk or like
Yeah.
someone like a Wookiee. It was like, no, we're gonna have someone that like looks like Star Trek. There's like a guy with like makeup on. Like, okay,
I know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
we said it looked like the Orville.
It
I've never
did.
seen
That's
it.
what it was.
Yeah,
It
it looked
looked
like
like
it's
the
just a-
Orville. That's
Which
exactly
which
what
I
it
love
did.
the Orville. It's a
But
comedy.
again,
it was
that's-
supposed to be comedic.
It's also
like it's-
a playoff of Star Trek, not
yeah,
Star
and
Wars.
it's supposed to be a spoof on Star Trek that looks like low budgety.
Right.
It's supposed to look like
Yeah.
Star Trek,
And it
not
does.
now. It's supposed to look like Star Trek from the 60s.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And this is an expensive thing. For
I really
only-
do feel
for
bad 'cause-
$5,000 a night. You can stay at.
That's
this
what I
place.
was
Like,
thinking. I'm gonna
what?
spend all of $8,000, and we're skipping that for sure. Oh, crud, we're skipping that too. Oh, we're skipping that. Oh, crud, we're
Where-
skipping everything.
where's
When
my
are we gonna
$8,000
spend the
going?
money? Right.
Yeah, and I do, like you
Yeah.
said, I do feel bad, obviously, because I wanted that to be better than it
People
was.
lose their
and I
people
wanted
lose their
to try
careers.
it.
and
But
their
the
I
jobs.
people
know,
that
I-
did,
I-
the people that went
But-
said it was a great
They
time.
did.
heard
It
that.
just didn't
So
do
it's
the
like I don't know if
promo.
some,
The
I don't know
promo
if
was
half of
bad.
it was marketing, if a lot of it was probably cost, how much the premiums of how much it costs to actually do the experience.
I saw Ryan's Toys review of it, and it was good.
Oh,
I did.
Well,
Ryan's
let's go.
Toys did and went there, and they thought it was good.
yeah.
The food looked
That's
a little
good.
weird, but it's from outer space.
I could have
Yep.
bought 500 Ronto wraps for that price. And those
More than
Ronto
that.
wraps were great.
I could. You know how many blue milks I could have?
Blue milk, green milk, we had them both.
I could feed
Blue was-
I could feed the clone army with blue milk off of
Man.
it.
the herding clone army that's huddled around Nate, and Nate's going, get your blue milk
Come
in.
on, Blue Milk
Get
Kid, you
your
can
Blue
stay
Milk.
over there for a week, or you can come
Commander
here and get
Cody,
Blue
I
Milk.
ain't got change, but I'll hit you up later at the back of the base.
I'm good
Cody.
for it. I'm good for it.
Oh,
Cody's
man.
like, blast him. They didn't even say
So
order
let me
66
ask
yet.
you: do you
He's
guys
turning on
think
you.
that do you think we'll see cancellations in project? Not any announcements anytime soon, but maybe post strike.
I hope not.
And
I hope the
any
strike doesn't go on
cancellation
much
of
longer.
stuff, or
We have
I
no
don't
idea
know
how
what
long
their
this will last.
demands are,
No, I don't either.
but I know they're far apart.
I mean, from what
If Bob
they've
Iger
said,
Is the litmus test from the executive side.
was he the one who said that
They're
what
pretty
they're
far
asking for
apart.
is like
he said it was
unachievable?
unrealistic.
It's unrealistic.
Mhm.
I don't know what they're asking for. Maybe someone in chat or someone who's listening back knows and can.
It's so hard. How can you say how can you say what you've written is worth if they don't tell you how much money it
They may have.
generates?
That's the hard. That's
I believe
Yeah.
I believe
hard of
Steph
this.
Curry is underpaid. His salary was $46 million. We looked it up.
That's it.
And
No, this
he
is
made
a-
90
yeah.
some overall, but from the Warriors,
Yeah.
46 million, and the Warriors organization took in 800 million in 2022. So he got 5% of their revenue. Is he worth more than 5% of the Warriors' revenue? I think so.
Put it this
Yeah.
way: what
He's
does
underpaid.
if Steph Curry?
But
that's the
because
thing.
they can do this. You
Quantifiable.
can judge what Steph Curry, what the Warriors were worth before Steph Curry.
Right.
Or
You can
before-
also
You can
justify
see it.
can
what they're
actually
worth.
look
You can
at the
also
numbers.
justify what they're worth based on the games when he's hurt and not
Right.
playing.
You can, the viewership's way down.
Viewership's way
ticket sales
down.
are way
So,
Attendance is way
A
down.
writer on Game of Thrones, when they stream that,
Yeah,
they get paid something. A writer who writes for a show that doesn't stream well, do they deserve the same? And how do you quantify it
And
when they
that's what I
don't
was
know
gonna
the
say.
that's the hard
effect?
thing. When you
That's
don't
the other
know,
thing too. Is how
Right.
do you know when
What value
with
it
the
brought.
whole streaming thing? What
there's just so much gray.
I don't
area.
even still like. I don't even understand, even with the music industry, and this
Yeah.
kind of with the whole streaming stuff, Spotify.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the awards and stuff, how they actually quantify, like platinum being sold and stuff, when it's all just based off listens, not
Yeah.
not
How
like
he's selling
actual
artists, how he's-
It's
actual
changed.
albums sold and stuff.
The numbers have changed.
And I
Yeah.
see the same thing. I've always wondered that and questioned, like, how do they actually know how well this album has performed when it's based off listens now and not just purchases?
Mhm.
And then it's the same thing with the streaming stuff. And I think that's probably part of it is the studios want to probably undersell
Yeah.
some of that and how they're quantifying it,
Yep.
where the the writers and stuff are probably looking at it saying, no, well, this and that, so it should be more. I don't know how they're quantifying
Here's
that.
another right. Here's the thing about it. One of the shows we watch at our house is The Middle,
Yeah,
and it streams on HBO. Or on Max, but it's set to just go to the next episode.
Mm.
I can't tell you how many times my kids are streaming that. They stand up and they walk out, and
It
I
just
walk in
goes.
there and there's nobody in there.
yeah,
But it's
it's
just going to
playing.
the next episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
Somebody's getting paid for those,
yeah.
or you fall asleep.
You're
You wake
still
up at
watching?
3:00 in the
True.
morning. Twilight Stone's still on the loop, man. It's still going on Paramount Plus. I mean, everybody knows
That's
that.
probably
Yeah,
why
yeah.
Netflix has the
You know
you're
what I
still
mean?
watching thing, because
sure.
they want to understand after a certain amount of
That's
time.
right.
If you're, are you still watching? Because we need to be able to quantify.
I'll tell you
How
one
much
thing
you're
that's
watching.
coming. Shows are not going to automatically start anymore. I'll bet you anything.
Because they need to need
Shows
to
will
crack
not-
down on
That's right.
what's actually being viewed.
Because the
and what's
execs are
not.
not going to want to pay for it if you're not actually watching. They're not going to auto start. You're going to have to push the button.
You just
And start an
reminded me of
episode.
something.
Yeah.
Half hour, 20 minutes, doesn't matter. You're going to have to push the button.
Yep.
You just reminded me.
Also, how do you quantify? Sorry, real quick. Going
No,
off
it's
of that,
okay.
The length,
I'm
the
just-
length of an episode.
I'm not upset.
Like
Yeah.
how much time is actually being spent in the length of an episode that's Mandalorian might be 30, 40 minutes versus
That's right.
a different show that's a lot longer.
The whole
what's the
Mando
effect?
series and the whole
Each
Andor
episode's
series.
different
Yeah.
length.
The Andor series is 3 times the length. Of
Right, it's
Mandalorian.
tricky.
So how do you? I don't
Yeah,
know.
man.
You just said something you think will change.
Hitting the button,
that
yeah.
that reminded me of when we were talking about. If you mentioned the strike, one of the big things with the strike, kind of two of the major things: the residuals thing, which we've talked about a little bit, of how it's hard to quantify with streaming. Just the calculation is just difficult. But then the other thing is the AI. The people were talking about
Yeah.
AI.
That's right.
And this is
yeah.
interesting. One thing that I think might be, whether for good or bad, I think we've enjoyed what we've gotten from it so far. But I think one thing that might be a casualty of this is I don't think we'll be getting much more, if any, deepfake Luke anymore. I think that I've already seen people on Twitter have already been saying a lot of stuff about that too, of like,
Mhm.
dude, get
Like
a young
fighting
get a young actor who looks like Mark Hamill and just recast the character if you want Luke in it that badly. Versus
Yeah.
now, because
Well,
that was
although-
an example. Now there's differences of Harrison Ford playing the character and then them de-aging
That's what I was
him
gonna say.
he's still
if
doing
it's
it.
Mark Hamill still doing,
But they hired that other actor, Graham,
they did.
and then Luke. And
but
then
he
Mark
still,
Hamill was
they
fine.
both did
Yeah.
the scenes.
Yeah, they were both there.
They
Right.
both did
there.
the scenes, and Mark Hamill was still getting paid to do it and do voice work. So
I could just what I'm
that-
saying is I could
that
see
is
them just
a-
not leaning into it as much
Could be.
It
because
is
I know
tough.
that people are a little iffy about it. I think
They
that
are.
I think why we've enjoyed it. Just speaking from, I think that it's probably. You talked about Secret Invasions, so like the all AI
Yeah.
intro thing, and people had obviously a very whatever like response to it.
yeah, and that was
What I-
before.
yeah,
all
that was
the
before all
AI
this.
stuff came with the
Yeah.
strike.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What I think is interesting and why I think some of this has worked in Star Wars for me, and maybe it will continue, is I do think that with the AI stuff, because it is hard, it's not going anywhere as far as it's what I think will be interesting as far as how it's used moving forward will definitely be like, what is the spirit of what they're trying to do still there, or does it feel hollow and animated and this or this? Like, that's why I've enjoyed the Mark Hamill stuff. That's why I enjoyed. I know you haven't seen Indy yet, but why I really enjoyed the younger moments of the Harrison Ford stuff is
Yeah.
is it perfect? No, but I like that Harrison clearly signed on and agreed to
Yeah.
this.
Right.
Yeah,
That's different maybe than and like even Carrie Fisher with Billie Lourd, her daughter,
Yeah.
being like, in my mom's name, I want to play her younger,
Right.
and we'll use the
Yeah.
face and stuff. Where it maybe then, well, maybe a better, I don't know if a Tarkin situation happens again, or like
Mhm.
something of a past actor. I know in The Flash they used some actors who have passed away and like their likeness, and I'm sure they had to get it signed off, from maybe their estate or family, or maybe they
Yeah.
didn't.
yeah, who knows?
that
I mean,
it'll be-
there's
maybe
so
they
much
didn't.
CGI in the Flash.
I know that
It's
maybe
so,
they didn't.
So bad.
Having Christopher Reeves show up is like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure how people feel about that
I-
moving forward or stuff like that. But
I haven't looked at the contract, what they're asking for, or what they're asking about. But wouldn't Mark Hamill be okay with that if he got paid?
That's
mean-
what I was
I mean,
saying. with
Mark Hamill,
Mark
I think
Image
is-
and likeness
I
stuff.
think Mark Hamill's always been character first and story first, and if he agrees that he thinks it's good
like
for
he's
the
not
story,
even
that he
he's
would
not
do it.
even in it.
Yeah,
But that's my face.
yeah,
And that's my likeness. I'm gonna be paid for that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think
You know what I mean?
I think
Yeah.
where
Have to get approval. All
and
that stuff.
obviously
I
with
think
the
where
strike,
it goes
where
it goes
was the
wrong
without
is the
consent,
without
the
consent.
That's
part
gonna
of
have
it.
to
Without
shut down.
consent and the one-time payment was part of it too.
Yeah,
of
and that
like,
was for a lot of
we'll pay you for
background
this,
actors.
but
Yeah.
now we
That shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Anytime it shows, it should be like you're getting a royalty.
residuals. It's
You're
like
gonna-
you get
So
People
it'll be
are
interesting. I was just saying whether even
Yeah,
even though
you're
they
right.
probably aren't going to shelve the technology, I wouldn't be surprised
if
Let's
they're more
push back there.
hesitant or
if
cautious.
they're hesitant, if they think if we lean
just not
into
worth
this
it.
right now, maybe it'll feel better later. But
Yeah.
with the strike, like coming off of the strike,
yeah.
that if they had ideas now again, de-aging Hayden Christensen to still be Hayden Christensen as Anakin. Even
Right.
I would argue they didn't de-age him like at all. I literally looked at
not
that.
that
I sent
much.
a picture to Nate even recently
Like, wait a
because
second.
I was watching some of the Obi-Wan stuff again and was like, I love this scene. To me, it looks like they didn't do almost anything to either Hayden or I mean,
Right.
Ewan has his current hairline that's clearly like further back and is like,
Yeah.
I'm like they didn't really do anything
Didn't
to
do it.
Hayden. Looks like he's like yes, master,
fine.
and he's like 40 years
Production
old.
value.
And clearly has and like it's It's one thing if you don't try, but like they apparently
Right.
said they like did de-aging.
They
And I was like,
de-age.
oh, it just doesn't really look like it. But
The
I still-
TikTok
this-
filters look better.
really
I
did.
know.
Some people have made like some. I'm not always a big fan of like certain fan
fan
edits or
edits,
something,
but some
but I've
of them are
seen some
good.
fan edits that have gone around there
Some
on
talented-
like TikTok or YouTube of like someone's like, hey, I spent an hour and this is what I was able to come up with. I did it for free on my computer, and I look at it and I think,
Well,
man,
that's
that
what
looks
happened
way
with
better.
the DH Mark Hamill the first
Yeah,
time, and that dude
right.
got hired by Disney.
That's how
Yeah.
fast the tech goes, though.
That's the tech.
It
In
is.
4 months, you'll be able to do stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So
And now you don't even have to do it. You just ask AI to do it.
That's
And that's part of the issue.
I have messed around a lot with ChatGPT. I am not impressed with their creativity of writing. It's good,
oh, that's another.
but it
thing,
just
yeah.
feels
It does.
doesn't. It's not great,
no.
it's-
That's
and it's
Still-
all derivative.
yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it's written stories for
Yeah.
me that but for my
Yep,
kids and stuff,
yep.
and I go in and I change them all, and
Yeah.
That's the.
it gives
yeah.
you some stuff to start from. But it's
You make a great.
Yeah.
a
Stephen
great
King has
point.
nothing to worry about. Like,
No,
you know what I mean?
You make a great point. I had heard someone. It was on a different podcast. Was talking about strike and was talking about AI and like, and one of the people said like, yeah,
I think
mean,
it's
the-
more with the
yeah,
art stuff.
Well, one of
now
them
than
said.
I
One of
think
them
so.
said
Words.
like, yeah,
think
I
so.
get the fact that like AI, and they were talking about like what's too far and what's not. And one of the guys said, yeah, I get the fact that like you can say, hey, type into this algorithm and boom, here's a book. They say, have you ever spent time reading? It's crap. Like as
Yeah.
far as like,
right.
yeah, yes, you produced a book. So like, yes, if you are in school and you have to hit a word count, like yeah, you got a word count. There is a story here.
Doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're
This
getting
is
a
no
good grade.
award-winning writing we're
No, no,
talking
no,
about
no.
because it's missing the human spark of the creativity.
It may get
of
better,
doing,
but
like,
yeah, it's not
can-
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
and that right now, as of now, it's like you said, Stephen King has nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
and
Nate's
M.
right
Night
with the
Shyamalan's
visual
script is
stuff.
going to be.
I think it's the
visual
visual
stuff is
art.
interesting.
And
I'll tell you where it's gonna cut to. I haven't got there yet. Editing.
Oh,
yeah,
well, Adobe.
editing's are
The
yeah.
AI
seen it?
editing is like people are gonna be like, I don't
Have
even
you
have
seen
a job
Adobe
anymore.
has it already?
That's the thing. They're going to be it's definitely
Adobe's
be pushing jobs
video
out.
editing thing. They have an AI for their video editing now. You can basically for content creators, YouTube stuff, you can auto generate basically here's the raw footage, create this into whatever, and give it the same guidelines, whatever you want as
Yeah.
detail, and it'll boom, clip it up, add music, all the stuff, and then boom, you
The
have
ones
your-
that do like for gaming and stuff, where it cuts out all the spaces,
yeah,
cuts out all the blanks and pushes it all together, edits out all the spaces, and it's just
yeah,
crazy.
it is crazy.
Mhm.
Mm.
Joe, thoughts?
AI is taking over the world.
Oh,
Set.
Ooh,
hey,
No, it's
Terminator.
I don't know. I think it's a useful tool, I think, and I don't think anyone's got anything to be worried about. I mean, Uncle touched on it with like, especially with like some of the writing stuff. It's like, oh, okay, that's a good idea, and then just throw it all away and then take some ideas from it. I've used it for code and stuff, and I was like,
I
oh
did
yeah,
that
it had
too.
some right stuff, and all of this was completely wrong. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like.
Perfect,
Yeah,
It's got some great like starters or some great like, oh, that's right, I got to do this, but it's like it's not. I mean, it's just getting internet or
Yeah.
information from the internet, and we all know how reliable that is, right? So it's like, what do you know?
Now, do you
what
think
what are
that
gonna
there's
do?
caution, though, like moving forward, like this being kind of the beginning, so to speak, of the AI age, that this is just the beginning, like the first
Yeah.
iPhone, that in time we could see it develop to a point where, okay, now the technology's better, it's
I think
more
it's one of the
creative.
reasons they're
it's-
trying to put in some rules now of like,
They
like,
are.
hey, what this
they
is
are,
going
but
to
do you think
pick
that's
up
part of the
fast.
risk and part of the worry that even with the strike that they're like, yeah, this is just the beginning, though.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's only going to get better. It's only going to get more intelligent.
We're kind of tangent. I think it is. I think it's going to do the opposite.
It's going to get worse.
I think Trump will be able to say anything he wants now and go, that's not me. That's
AI.
That's AI.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
everybody's going to have
There's
free
no
reign.
politician
How do you prove
ever-
it?
That's
I
all
can't.
deep fake. That
Not
wasn't
that-
me. Wait a minute. I
Not
think
that
it
any
was you. No, it wasn't.
politician, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that
Prove it.
any
They're already
politician
saying
ever
that.
says.
No, it's like free. I could do anything you want.
yeah. Not that any politician ever says, "All right, that is footage of me. You got me." They never say it anyways.
No.
But now it's gonna be. It's just
That's
it
deep
must
fake.
be AI. Like that
It's
was.
all
That's
deep
not
fake.
me. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have you on video saying this at the State of the Union. That's a green screen.
That's
That's,
not me.
clear. That's
not me.
That's a green. That's not a. And
So
then
I
it
wasn't
will be
even at
so
the State
hard.
of
It
the
will be
Union.
so hard to prove anything.
Well,
That's
I know.
hard. I know there's so many. I mean, already people on Twitter make all these fake. I see all the fake NBA accounts that got banned like today. Or
Oh,
something,
really?
I think.
I've just seen all the
Crazy,
Or
raps.
these fake
man.
I've
breaking
seen the
news where
music.
everything looks real. There's a big NBA account on Twitter called NBA Central,
Yeah.
and there's like all these different accounts. They're NBA Central, and if you look at it, it looks identical. They paid for the Twitter Blue, so they have the check mark. It has all these followers. The bio is the exact same, and they put all these fake headlines out there about like Draymond Green on this podcast and has quotes and stuff, but their actual handle is at NBA Central instead of for Central instead of CENTRAL, it's TREL, and it's just misspelled, and you have to really look to see
So
if
the
it's
Draymond comments about Jordan Poole are fake?
there was comments today
Because I was
about-
like, wait a second, is this real?
there was comments today about Draymond and Kevin Garnett that Draymond deleted a tweet and everyone talked about it. And Kevin Garnett said, "Bro, it's the fake one. You fell for it." And Kevin Garnett said it because it was the fake. It was a
my
quote out there.
And
goodness.
Draymond responded to it.
It was a fake. It was the fake one. It was the fake account that was putting out all this misinformation,
my
trying to like just have these
goodness.
fake headlines. And it was a quote, and it said, Kevin Garnett on, and it tagged a real NBA podcast on Pat Beverly's podcast, and said, and it said like something about, Draymond, punching Jordan Poole was like, it was like a senior beating up on a freshman. Like pick on someone your own size doesn't take a lot of guts to do that. And then Draymond, the actual Draymond Green,
Responded to that.
quoted that and said like, "Bro, when I was a rookie, I came at your head in a pickup game and was talking trash to you, and you pretend like you didn't even hear me. I guess that was a rookie picking on an elderly citizen." And then KG responded with
Are you
the
serious?
actual Kevin Garnett responded with the laughing emoji. Said,
Man.
"Bro, it's the fake account. I didn't say that."
Yeah, delete
and
it.
then it literally someone showed later, and then it showed a screenshot and said Draymond Green deletes it.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like people already getting caught up and like you're not
Yeah.
sure what's real, what's not, and that's just the
And
written.
I
That was
saw
all
the
just the
music
written
stuff
word.
too. Is crazy.
Oh, I know.
The creating the voice of like Drake and having them
It's
make their
unreal.
own songs and stuff.
I showed you some of the Freddie Mercury.
Singing,
Mercury
yeah.
singing Michael Jackson and singing Beatles and singing, and it was
So
like,
Freddie Mercury singing yesterday. I was like, what in the world?
yeah, some of them are so good.
It's crazy.
It's
AI
it's pretty wild.
albums.
This is actually all AI. We're not even here.
Oh yeah, the whole podcast from the beginning.
I think we at least mentioned. I don't remember if it was once or twice. We said Star Wars though. We said the word Star Wars.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it is interesting though. We'll see how this affects Star Wars content.
Disney
moving
Plus,
forward.
keep coming back.
Please.
We're still here.
We love well, especially with Star Wars because we've been itching, and it is unfortunate with the timing because we have been. Everybody in Star Wars fandom's been itching for a movie. So
And
in a
itching
sense,
for this
it's like
Ahsoka
it's
series.
like, have
I
we
know it.
seen saturation with Star Wars? Has it been mostly? I feel like it's been mostly Marvel because we haven't gotten the Star Wars films, but I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in work, so it'd be interesting to see how it plays out and what all is going to be made, and if Bob Iger's serious about the money going into the projects that are going to be continue being made, what that production will look like, if there'll be a noticeable, scale back on what the content we're getting. It'd be interesting to see because obviously
Yeah.
Andor had the most money of any
Yeah.
of those Disney Plus shows, and it showed.
I think
Like,
it was-
it
yeah, I
was
think it was
fantastic, and they
fantastic.
put a lot into it. Now performance wise, I don't know if it performed. It didn't perform nearly as well as like Kenobi and stuff, but that's just because of the
We don't know,
character,
right?
the connection that.
Not last
have,
note on
but-
that. Not a single Andor actor or any Star Wars actor nominated for the Emmys. But I know that they got like 23 Emmy nominations, but not a single actor. Which I was hoping that Skarsgård was going to get it
Dude, he was
because
so
he was
good.
so good in Andor. Or
So
Diego
good.
Luna was great. Skarsgård was so. He
Yeah,
had a couple
that
of monologues
speech-
that I thought.
That
Amazing.
speech
Or
It's awesome.
is so
Genevieve.
good.
What
have I
Riley?
sacrificed?
I thought Mon Mothma had chance too because
Yeah,
she had some
So
some
good. I
really
know.
good.
Yeah.
That was the last.
Hey.
That was the last thing I wanted to touch on there. So
We were what?
Yeah,
30,
Emmys.
34 days. 34 days from
the
Ahsoka.
Swaggy Awards.
From Ahsoka.
Oh,
for the Swaggies,
The swaggy.
It's
Star Wars
forecast,
guy.
man. We made
Forecast.
forecasts.
Yeah.
4. Yeah, we always judge in cast. We are.
For
How many casts away are we from
Castaway.
hey,
Castaway? Tom Hanks. That was
Hanks.
back in the era. Tom Hanks is in it.
Bobby,
Pre-Bridge of Spies.
Bobby Z.
Even though I bet
Zemeckis, yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Z. Talking about Zemeckis. We were just talking pre-cast.
Bobby Z.
Bobby Z.
I call him Bob.
I call him Bobby Z. Yeah. We were talking a little bit before. I know we're wrapping up. I always have something
We
in my
are?
van.
I'm
But
good. I got
we were talking Zemeckis. We were just talking about Ready Player One. And they have the
Yeah.
little
Oh,
yeah, Ready Player
Zemeckis.
2.
Don't they have a little Back to Future music? Or
They do.
They have the ding ding like the
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
the sound effect in there.
Ready Player 2. Can't wait for that to come out. Or will it? No.
Tom Hanks.
Will it?
I'm still watching you. Boys.
Did you watch Otto?
No, I'm not watching Tom Hanks anymore.
I
I'm
did.
just kidding.
I did.
I'm
Was
just
it
kidding.
good?
Yeah, it's pretty
Abigail read that book. It's actually a man called Ova, I think is the actual book because it's a
Oh, and he's Otto
foreign,
and stuff.
and then they use it like
Huh.
I'm not good with Tom Hanks being a curmudgeon old man yet. I'm still.
Yeah.
I just
weird.
watched
It's just
Elvis.
weird,
you know?
I just watched Elvis.
Oh yeah.
I still want to watch
He's,
Pinocchio. I haven't seen that. with
I
Tom Hanks.
thought that was really good. Actually.
Tommy Hanks. I'm bored. Tommy Hanks.
It's
Which one
Tommy.
did you watch?
How you doing, Tommy?
Pinocchio.
Oh, Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I just saw. Yeah, I saw.
I
Wait,
really
I've seen it
enjoyed
too.
I thought the Pinocchio
oh
with
gosh,
Tom Hanks was
He's
great.
lying.
It got some bad stuff. I loved it.
I remember
Yeah?
you saying that
I
it was
was
really
excited.
good.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
you saying it was really
It's
good.
very good.
Yeah, I
thought
need
it
to
was
see it.
Great.
Well,
Okay, there you have
any
it.
other thoughts?
Bring back
Grogu?
the Wizard of Oz. That's all I gotta say.
Grogu.
Well said.
Go see Oppenheimer. Go see Barbie. I have no stake in the game.
I have no stake in the game.
He's
Those
just being a
sabers on
good
display.
SAG member. He's not promoting.
He's great.
He's not
True.
promoting Disney.
He'll never get blacklisted.
No.
No.
Well,
he's safe.
there you
He and
have
George
it.
R.
Like,
R. Martin, because they're not
Yeah.
writing. Neither of them are writing.
yeah. There you have it. Like we said at the beginning, if you got insight on different things or some of the stuff we discussed and you got some input or some more information, let us know. Drop your comments on the video. We'd love to hear more. Obviously, there's a lot going on, a lot to kind of navigate through with the writer strike and the actors now in it too. So a lot going on. We'll see how it affects everything, but still can't wait for more content.
We're gonna be here.
Excited.
We're gonna be pumping out new content.
That's right.
Yeah. We
as
just
often
can't
as we
say
can.
certain things.
Can't say certain things.
Doesn't mean we won't pump out content.
That's right. Like we can't say the words but no.
Yeah, Joe, can you beep that?
That's true.
Yeah.
So
but
does
yeah,
that
there you
mean-
have it.
Rosario Dawson will not be on our next cast.
Yeah.
She will not be.
Well,
She also wasn't going to be, but we
That's
also
true.
wanted to make it clear
she will
because we
not
still
be
had
on the
we
next
still had the
one.
next week to secure
She won't
her.
be on the next
She
one.
won't be on the next
Yeah,
one.
True.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there you have it. As always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. You can find us on Instagram at Star Wars Guys Pod to stay connected with all the latest updates. We post some updates on there. We'll post some questions and things to stay engaged. And if you made it this far, well, thank you. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend about us here at Star Wars Guys, and smash the notification
What are we
bell
doing?
so that you don't miss out on our next video. We'll catch you guys in the next one. And as always, may the Force be with you.
This is how the strike ends. Ready? Peace. It's just boss ass. I almost went. This is how liberty dies. No, it's
Suga.
Suga, Suga. It's just an agreement. Suga, Suga. You think Bob Iger walks around chanting Suka? Suka, Suka.